No,
right?
no.
It is not true that they're overworked?
I would say that truckers are probably the ones that are overworked.
Your era, you said there was a positive image about truck drivers.
Yeah, portraying truckers as mindless, just brutes that sit behind the wheel and don't have any education, don't have any future. These are all people that are just trying to make a living for their family and contribute to the society in which they live in.
So I want to take a quick second to thank everybody who has subscribed to our show. It does help us a lot. This is a small show and we do it by ourselves. And if you haven't done so and you really enjoy the show, please do subscribe and rate our show on any of the platforms you watch. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Welcome to the Truck Stop Show. Today we're joined by Terry, who has been in trucking industry for not so long, but he's got a very interesting background. He was in warehousing, and then he decided to get a trucking license and get into trucking. Terry, thank you for being here, and tell us, how long have you trucked?
Well, come the beginning of May, I'll officially been trucking for 1 year. So very, very new to the industry. And yes, prior to that, I was corporate and manufacturing, production, and warehousing, and decided that it was just not for me. I wasn't a fit for that industry anymore after doing it for almost 20 years. I enjoy driving, little experience in towing. We have a travel trailer, and I was commuting or looking at commuting again. I have commuted to places of work within the manufacturing industry as far north as Mount Forest. And of course, when you're commuting, you're not being paid. So I kind of looked around at what it was that I would enjoy doing. And transportation, trucking was still a big part of that manufacturing industry. And they were telling me, well, you can get paid for driving. So it was kind of captivating. I gave it a little bit of thought. And then.
So tell me the thought process when you decided to get the truck license. Do you remember that moment?
It was the aha moment came when I actually I had discussed with a few people, and the aha moment came when they were saying, well, if you want to get experience, I had looked at pilot truck operations, and they were telling me, well, if you want to get experience and work for a company, you got to commute to locations outside of the area that we're in, a considerable drive. So I was looking at, again, commuting a couple of hours a day just for a job. And it was at that point when I thought, well, I'm going to be guiding truckers at being a pilot. Why don't I look at being the trucker? Because I knew that there were opportunities within my local area, and that was the aha moment.
So you decided to be a dispatcher before?
When
you say pilot.
A pilot driver
I don't know this.
is when we see those trucks rolling down the highway that have the big wide load signs and they're carrying oversized loads. What you see ahead of them and behind them are what are called pilot vehicles. So they clear the highway.
Escort
Vehicles is another name. That's correct. Yeah. So they clear the highway. They make sure the route that is prescribed, that their carrier that they're guiding is clear of obstacles. They measure the heights of bridges and stuff like that. So it was that I was looking at trying to get into, but the nearest company that would hire you so I could gain experience, because a lot of these guys will get experience working for a company and then they'll go and run as independents. But the trucking, the companies that do the actual trucking, the carriers, want people with experience. They just won't take you on without experience.
But isn't that same thing in trucking too?
Well, there's a story right there.
Well, I know that. Hold on, the story
my hiring story.
So then you decided to get the license. You went through the school, you got the license, and now tell me the story. So a lot of people talk about how they cannot find a job.
Right.
You know this, right? Oh, a lot of trucking companies tell us, oh, there's no jobs out there in trucking, and I have my license. I actually get comments underneath some of the reels that you are promoting trucking here, and there's no jobs and there's no money. How did you find your first job?
Interesting story. So I had received my CDL from the ministry, which means I passed my test and received my A with the Z certification license, and I was going to start looking for my first job in the industry. Not really too sure. I just wanted to get to work. I was going to take whatever because of no experience. I would have taken whatever opportunities presented themselves once I started applying to proper companies. So I was in the ministry office getting a copy of my driver's abstract and a copy of my CDL so that I could attach them to my resume to distribute to potential hiring opportunities. And there was a gentleman standing at the kiosk beside me, and he overheard what I was doing, and he told me, he says, yeah, usually a lot of these big companies are looking for minimum of 3 years experience driving before they'll take a new hire on. And I said, yeah, I heard that, and I'm prepared to do whatever it takes, new in the industry to get work. And then he hums and haws, and we both turn back to our prospective kiosk to continue our business. He has a break from what's going on at his kiosk, and he turns to me and he says, well, I may know of something for you. Maybe we can exchange numbers after this. And I thanked him. I said, sure. So we turn back to our kiosks, finish our business, and then we're standing in the ministry office, and I'm giving him my contact information. He's giving me his, and he says, I may have need of a driver operator coming up. And one thing leads to another, and this is a Monday morning that I'm doing this. By Wednesday, this gentleman makes me an offer to come and drive for his company, and by Friday, I'm hired and I'm driving. So I get my CDL on Thursday, Friday, the week before, and within a week, I'm working. So
it is not true that there's not a lot of jobs out there?
It just depends on where you look and how patient you are. And sometimes opportunities come in the strangest of forms, but there's still work out there. Yeah, there's still lots of work out there.
So Terry, going into something and thinking of something is two different things. So when you were thinking about trucking, of course you had an image in your head, right? Yeah. Now you're in trucking. Has that image changed?
It has changed somewhat. I mean, in my days from when I was in a corporate environment and I was commuting, I understood that, time on the road actually could be quite tiring. You're dealing with other operators on the road. You're dealing with transport on the road, farmers on the road. But I was only doing that a few hours a day, maximum, depending on how far my commute was. But now, for sure, my office is in my rig. So I'm spending what used to be office time now on road time and seeing what's going on there, and being aware and conscious of your environment and conscious of the weather and conscious of road conditions. I'm finding that it's a quite tiring by the end of the day. You're not physical. You're not manhandling things like if you were working in a factory. You're not number crunching, but it is physically draining because you're hanging on to that steering wheel. You're managing. My truck is loaded. Usually, max weight is 60,000 metric tons. Is my truck, trailer, and my full load. So you've got that to contend with. It's 60 plus feet from tip to tail. So you got that to contend with. It does become mentally fatiguing. It's longer hours than people give it consideration for. I just completed a couple of 60-hour weeks. It's great. I get paid for all of it. But yeah, it can be mentally fatiguing.
So out of 10, 10 being the highest, how much you enjoy trucking?
I'd say being that this is my first year and this is my first winter. This is the worst winter that we've had in approximately 16 years. I'd probably put my value at about 8 right now.
So that's pretty high.
It is still high. I am enjoying it. Still.
Yes, it's the whatever you expected hasn't gone down.
No,
right?
No. I like the fact, even though I work for somebody, I still like the fact that I am my own boss. I get in my truck. I have my CB tuned to 19. I have my boss was kind enough to put the subscription for Sirius XM, which is satellite radio. So he's got that in my truck. My truck is brand new, 2026 truck. So a little bit spoiled actually for first time brand new drivers. So yeah, I still appreciate the thought process that led me to this and the job itself. So.
Good. And I didn't ask you, what kind of hauling do you do? So what do you haul?
So I work within I would probably say food and agriculture industry. So for most of the winter, I've been hauling things like grains and meals to take to feed mills where they process that product into food for the agriculture industry. So chicken, pork, cattle feed, and whatnot. Now, those animals, and it's funny because this actually came from a guy up at a feed mill that I service, said that, and this was right around Christmas, he said, animals don't get Christmas. They won't stop eating. They won't get a nice big turkey dinner. So there was an opportunity to work through Christmas. So generally I try and work the holidays. And yeah, I thought it was maybe the industry was going to get a little bit slower in the wintertime, but hindsight being 2020, the farmers aren't putting cattle out in the field to graze on their own. Chickens aren't going out free range. So we've actually been busier through the winter than I had counted on, which is fine by me. I'm getting paid. So
yeah, for sure.
No complaints. So, and then in the summertime, last summer, I don't know what to say about this upcoming summer, but last summer we were hauling, when I wasn't doing feed mill, we were doing soils and products for agricultural centers that deal in selling dirt to gardeners and stuff like that. So we're bringing soil that's been, when a community is being created and a builder buys a lot of land, they'll take all of the topsoil off and they'll put it in areas and they'll sell that topsoil to agricultural places and nurseries that in turn screen the dirt and sell us our topsoil that we take home and put in our gardens. So
Terry, number 8 is pretty high, okay? And then you had to work through the Christmas and the winter. So did it have any toll on your family?
No, my wife is, my family is, this was another thing that made the decision to go this route a little bit easier. I have my family, my children are pretty much grown. My youngest has just started university. My wife was telecommuting for her work from home. So me doing these long hours aren't the end of the world for the family. I don't have little babies that I need to be home to help support. And the money is fair, and my income contributes to our household income. So.
Absolutely. So, Terry, because one of the reasons we do this show is we encourage people to get into trucking, and we tell people that it's a great trade to get into.
Yep.
I don't want you to give exact numbers, but how much are you making? Like, don't give me exact numbers. I just want you to give an idea. Speak carefully. I know nobody wants to talk about what they take home, but sort of talk to the people and tell them how much money do you make, or explain.
Well, I earn enough that, like I said, that my contributions to the household income, as well as what my wife earns, are allowing us to live comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
So I still have toys. One of my hobbies is golf. It's allowing me to play indoor golf in our off winter season now, which in some areas can be kind of pricey. So it's allowing me to maintain a standard of life that I feel is more than acceptable.
So before you were in warehousing, is that true?
Yeah, manufacturing, warehousing, correct. Production, yes.
So now when you were on the other side of the dock and you looked at these trucks coming in to give you a load or take a load from you, and now you are on the other side of the dock, tell us about being inside the dock and being the warehouse guy.
Yeah, so it has been a learning experience and a lifestyle change to actually see that. I was the guy, one of the responsibilities that I had while I was doing it was I actually did some transportation scheduling. I've actually done shipping and receiving in the past. So dealing with drivers and understanding their constrictions and restraints. At the time, you are probably only thinking about your constrictions, your restraints. You don't really put yourself in somebody else's shoes and see what it is that they're going through. Now, there's give and take. I mean, we had drivers that thought that they were the only ones out there, and that regardless of who was in the queue, either to be loaded or unloaded, if we had a queue, that they would have to be first. And I think that happens in every industry. There's always going to be somebody out there who thinks they're more important than everybody else. But I've also seen a better class of people now that I've been on the other side. The drivers aren't all like that. We had some receivers at one facility that I worked at that thought drivers were probably the lowest form of life within the industry, and just didn't treat them right at all. And I can see where animosity would occur. So I like the fact that I have seen both sides of that scale. And if I were to ever go back to the corporate or the warehousing side of it, I would most certainly have a different viewpoint than I did while I was in there.
So briefly tell me what image you had before and what image you have now. Just briefly, like I'm just trying to understand this. When you see a truck driver brings a load to you, do you look at him as, because I do know a lot of people in shipper receivers can be very mean and ugly, right?
Yes.
So they would treat you and they still do. They they won't let you use the bathroom. They won't talk to you nicely, and they would treat you like shit. And it's just not pleasant. I know that. Were you one of those guys?
No.
No.
I thought that my background comes from being schooled in manufacturing, production, and transportation. So I understand that the supply chain just doesn't end when my company stops or has made their product and it's sitting on the dock. The supply chain continues all the way through to the consumer at the very end. If you're making car parts and you're the manufacturer of the car parts, the supply chain ends when that customer buys the vehicle that contains your car parts. So I treated drivers with respect where I had to. We would bang some skulls, like I said, with some drivers who thought that they were better or their priorities were higher than somebody else who's been waiting in the queue for a while. I have had shipper receivers who, as you said, these are the same kind of people that don't let drivers come in and use driver restrooms or use the rest facilities. And I don't understand that it created animosity on the dock. The driver would get his back up, and all you're doing in the end is really on both sides of the tail, because it takes two to create the situation. So angry loader or receiver can lead to angry driver, which just ties up your whole supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
So guy doesn't want to move his truck. Guy doesn't want to load somebody's truck.
You face situations like this?
I have. I've had to get either, if it was a driver issue, I've had to call the driver's dispatch to get them to figuratively rein their driver in. If it was on our end, loading, receiving, I would have to, because I was production scheduling and planning, so I would have to get a shipping receiving manager involved. It went so far as in one facility that we had to unfortunately remove the shipper receiver because of how they were treating drivers. Drivers did not want to come in to our facility when a certain person was working.
So now, in my understanding, I think drivers are never a bully. It's always the shipper receiver that's a bully.
I've seen some drivers that
bullying the staff. Yes. In my experience, it's usually either the guardhouse, the guard is a bully, or the shipper receiver. They just treat you like with zero dignity.
And it could be with some like if the driver is a less than truckload. It could have been how he was treated at his last stop, and then he's bringing that energy to our stop. And people are people, and everybody's allowed to have bad days, and sometimes the bad day can flow into the job, be it on the outbound side, be it on the inbound side, be it on the load side, be it on the trucker or whatever. Everybody's going to have a bad day. So I think there are certainly maybe a lot more stories where the bad juju is coming from shipping, receiving, and unfortunately, that is they don't understand everyone's human. So,
it is not true that they're overworked?
I would say that truckers are probably the ones that are overworked. What I would see in where we're in the facilities that I was loading, unloading, or responsible for scheduling, where the overburden of work happens is when you have multiple actions happening at the same time. This truck is coming in, needing to be unloaded. That truck shows up, needs to be loaded. The team may be short-staffed. the office is changing their priorities because the customer changes their priorities. So it could be an overburden on the shipper receivers there that is creating the extra tension, the extra pressure. So, but if everybody remembers at the end of the day that they were successful, then tomorrow you can come back and hopefully have a better, cleaner day.
Terry, I'm going to ask you this question as a truck driver now because you're driving a truck and you know what you face now. And you know the amount of hours you work and you know the kind of obstacles you have or the problems you have with the traffic or even overall with the dispatch and the company and all that. Why do people not know anything about trucking?
I just don't think that there's enough word out there about trucking. I don't think that I feel that part of our when we go to get our driver's license, not our commercial, but if our passenger car, your home vehicle, your taxi cab, whatever you're driving that isn't a commercial designated as commercial vehicle. I think at that time that there should be some form of education out there that you're not the only person on the road. So that there are other vehicles on the road that and start giving a little bit education, because I am seeing a lot of I would call them like Mario Andretti's out there who don't really respect what's going on the roadways, will don't understand that my 60 tons that I'm coming down the highway at 80 kilometers an hour with does not stop on a dime. So if you're going to pass me and cut like right in front of me, just off my front bumper, there's a chance if you have to brake hard, I am not going to be able to stop in time to prevent any kind of accident from happening. How we get that information out there, short of, because there are people now, of course, that have had their licenses for 40 years. How we get that information out to the people, I'm not sure. I think it's you using platforms like this that are interesting and intuitive. I think that these kind of things hopefully inform average Joe on the road that we're out there too, and we're not there to create problems. This is our office, so we kind of should protect what's out there as well.
Terry, in this whole entire year, what's the worst thing that happened to you, or you saw or you witnessed?
I have seen probably at least this winter alone, I've seen a dozen different kinds of vehicular accidents, commercial truck accidents, vehicle accidents. It was a bad winter, so certainly seen a lot of vehicles off the road due to weather conditions. A couple of commercial truck drivers who hadn't maybe planned their routes out specifically, trying to maybe cut corners. We call it taking real estate when you're making a left or a right turn. If these guys are fully loaded and they're trying to make a turn, that trailer is affected by gravity. So if they're cutting a turn and there's a bank on that turn, especially out in the country, farmers usually their roadways are raised so that snow and water and ice flow off into their fields and ditches on the side. And if the driver is cutting that corner and he's got a full load, gravity takes over. And I saw a trailer during the wintertime where the driver cut the corner, the trailer was slid because of snow and ice into the ditch. In turn, that's where the gravity took over and took his tractor down with him. I hadn't heard anything. The truck and trailer were almost a complete rollover. I believe the driver was okay, and that's all that anybody can wish in those kind of situations, is that there's no harm to anybody. This week that just passed was, I drive up north where the weather conditions down here might be one thing, but further north, up by the Listowel area, the weather conditions will be something completely else. And you can have beautiful weather down here, rain by time you get to Fergus, freezing rain by time you get to Elmira, and it'll turn to snow by time you get to Listowel. So we'll go through all of those conditions in a matter of 45 minutes. And you need to pay attention to what you're doing when you're there.
So Terry, I know you work locally. You haven't slept in the truck yet, right?
Yes, I have.
Overnight?
Not overnight. We do a pickup from a location in Hamilton. It's a meal location to take up to our food service area, or the feed mill. And I've been getting down there probably about 3:30 in the morning to get my load. My load has not been ready this week, so I'll climb into the bunk and try and sleep for a few hours.
Right. So which cities have you driven in so far? You don't have to give me the whole entire list, just for the big fat cities.
I've driven in Toronto, I've driven in Hamilton, Kitchener-Waterloo, Guelph, smaller communities. Since I'm hauling agriculture, usually like this, especially this past winter, I get sent out to farms. So I don't need to go through cities to get to these farms, but it is nice in the wintertime to stay on a major roadway and off the gravel roads. Especially with the snow out there, sometimes that snow, freshly fallen snow, you cannot tell where the road is, where the ditch begins. Mm-hmm. So it's nicer to kind of get to these farms by staying on the regional roads.
Right. What's your personal dislike in terms of cities so far?
I don't think we touched on this before about getting the word out there about trucking to average Joe. The four-wheelers is what we call them. Driving through the city and encountering city rush hour traffic. I've been on that the 404, 401 interchange right in the middle of the day on a Friday. And everybody wants to go home. Everybody has some place to go. Everybody has a location that's more important to get to than everybody else on the road. That is probably one of the more difficult things to contend with. As I said, I'm loaded. I'm 60 tons, and I'm crawling through that start and stop traffic. And you'd have to drive a vehicle of that size to get the full experience of what it means to get that vehicle rolling, what it means to stop that vehicle once it is rolling. An object in motion tends to stay in motion.
True.
So, really, the idea is, and efficiencies is you want to get your truck rolling and maintain that speed, because start and stop traffic for a transport is no better than start and stop for your personal four-wheeler vehicle. It is hard on the vehicle. It's hard on your fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and Terry, so far, what is the biggest disappointment you have faced so far in trucking?
I don't know if I've faced a disappointment yet. Because of the type of trucking that I'm doing, potentially or possibly last summer when I was we lovingly called it playing in the mud. When we were moving dirt for the garden companies and nurseries, when we'd have a rainy day because of where our location where the dirt was, of course, these aren't 4x4 vehicles, so you can't really drive them like it is a 4x4 vehicle, or you get stuck. So there were a couple of days where we get rain out. And it doesn't matter if you get paid by the mile, the kilometer, or by the hour. If you're not driving, you're not getting paid. So I was forced to take a couple of rain days off. There wasn't enough work for all of us drivers to go back and start running food for feed, or the product for feed mill. So there, I had a few days where I didn't work. So, but when you don't work, you should be able to make up for stuff. Because this week I've got more than enough work.
Well, trucking is like that. The work is in waves.
It's up and down. Yeah, it is. And I didn't really consider that getting into it. As I said, I mean, the background that I came from was we tried to level plan our inbound and our outbound. So, and now I'm in a situation where it's seasonal, and I'm not used to that. So we have our really, really strong weeks, and then that'll counter the weeks that aren't so strong.
But Terry, when you decided to get the license, was your wife involved in that conversation?
My wife just wanted me to do something that was going to make me happy. So it was not, I will say she was very supportive of my decision. She listened to my counter arguments, my pros and cons, and in the end, she just wanted me to be doing something that was going to make me happy. She knew that I couldn't sit at home and not do anything at all. She supported me on getting some education and information to make a good, sound, solid choice. So in the end, it was just about her supporting me to the point of getting involved in something where I was going to be happy and back to contributing. So
if you go back to your family and you say, I want to drive a truck, sometimes it's not a very positive thing for the family, right? Some people just look upon this as not a very good trade, right?
They do. I mean, unfortunately, I think now I grew up in the age where the big trucking movies, of course, were things like Convoy with Chris Christopherson, or Smokey and the Bandit, right? Where the truckers were heroes. I also grew up, I think, on the television at the time. There were some trucking shows. So truckers have either been promoted as mind-numbing, uneducated people or heroes, but there's nothing in between. We are normal, average people, guys and gals. There are gals out there too. We have within the company that I work for, we have a young lady who's a very good trucker. She's probably forgotten more in the couple years she's been trucking, forgotten more about trucking than I have yet to learn. So she's quite a good trucker at her age. But we're all normal people. We're just like everybody else that's around us. We're not uneducated hicks who don't have anything better or skills that aren't available. We want to contribute to society. We want to be valued, and we want to be appreciated.
So it's a great point, and I do want to expand on this, Terry, that in your era, and which is not long ago, your era, you said there was a positive image about truck drivers.
Yeah, there was lots of music about the industry. There was lots of television that was promoting the industry. unfortunately, just as much as promoting it, there were some shows that were portraying truckers as mindless, just brutes that sit behind the wheel and don't have any education, don't have any future. But I think for the most part, they used to really promote and educate people that truckers were good people.
No, do you think these negative shows have contributed to where we are now, the image of trucking?
I don't know if they contributed to the negative image of trucking to where we are now. I will most certainly say there hasn't been enough since those days to promote the positive side of it, for sure. I would say that's more likely. I think a lot of people now, because the country has become so multicultural, I think a lot of people now are looking at who the driver is or what the color of his skin is and making their determinations from there, which is wrong because, like I said, these are all people that are just trying to make a living for their family and contribute to the society in which they live in. So I think stigma has moved us in a negative view of the driver. So I like to think that the drivers that we're out there 40 hours a week, that, like I had said earlier, this is our office, that we are, if we're being conscious about our surroundings and what's going on the road, we are the stewards of those roadways, and should be looking out for those guys and those four-wheelers, that we are just as important on that roadway to maintaining the safety of that roadway as our first responders that are out there.
Right.
And I'm not 100% sure if we have enough truckers out there that view that in that kind of manner. And that probably is where the negativity from the four-wheelers comes from, or your guy in his pickup truck or SUV.
But even overall, I think the current day image of a truck driver, in at least in my understanding, is the worst. Like nobody wants to associate themselves with trucking, or even like it's pretty bad. But I'm always curious to know why, because truckers are very important figures of any society, right? They bring you everything. They do a very important job. But I'm always searching. I'm always trying to find out, why do truck drivers have such a negative image?
Well, like I said, I think unfortunately it's always the rotten apple that spoils the whole barrel. And we've had issues in the past 10, 15 years, even when I was on the other side, where you turn on the news and a truck is in the ditch. You turn on the news and a truck driver. Well, what's the most recent one about the garbage hauler on the 401 that killed the tow truck driver? There was, and then, no ownership or responsibility. And I'm afraid that that's where it's those small instances that can create a negative image on a whole industry just because of one bad egg.
Now, whose job is this? I know
excuse me,
I am doing through this show trying to do what is in my own capacity. But I mean, overall, who do you think? Is it the government? Is it the truck drivers themselves? Is it all these associations out there? Like, whose responsibility is this to educate the world that what truck drivers do and how important they are, and they should be treated with some respect?
I think it's all of our jobs. There's that saying that it takes a village to raise a child. So I think everybody needs to be part and parcel. The government that needs to support the truckers. The truckers need to get out there and get that we're not all evil and bad, and associations, the trucking schools, affiliations, even as far as like the companies that need to utilize trucking to survive, inbound, outbound, that they all need to get out there and sponsor and support the industry as well. The trucker can't do it himself, so we need to have help. But yeah, everybody needs to take a little bit of part in it.
Terry, I know you got a trucking license that is restricted. You can only drive an automatic truck.
That's
you
correct.
cannot drive a manual truck. Was that a good or bad decision?
I think moving, I have had my, I've questioned that myself, but I think moving and seeing the drivers, when I get to some of my locations, my bigger locations where I'm actually working with other trucking companies, I'm seeing a lot of guys who are driving automatic trucks. So my boss, I think he actually only has 2 standard trucks. All of his trucks, I think, out of his fleet, I'd probably say 75% are automatic. So,
And what do you have to tell the people that think automatic trucks are just shit? Nobody should be driving them. They shouldn't be out on the road.
I drive one. Like, understand that. Like, I mean, what type of personal vehicle do you drive? Automatic trucks, I think, short of sometimes. Now, I've been stuck a couple of times through this winter on snow and ice, but I've managed, even though they get a bad rap, and the first thing that is said is, well, if you got an automatic truck and you get stuck, you're stuck and you're calling heavy tow or you're using a tractor to pull you out. I've gotten myself out. So I would say drive one. Your personal vehicle is probably an automatic. You got an automatic for a reason. They're more efficient. They're less brain power to operate, I guess you could say. You're not having to concern yourself with shifting. They're just, I enjoy it. I've had personal vehicles that are stick, and I really enjoyed them. They were fun, but there comes a point, especially when you're spending all that time on the road, you don't want, and in stop and go traffic, you don't want to be contending with a clutch and a stick. So
you're not. So what would you say to the person who would call you a steering wheel holder?
You can call me what you want. I like holding my steering wheel then. So drive and stop and go downtown Toronto, or sorry, not downtown Toronto. My team has been in downtown Toronto, rush hour traffic, but drive through Toronto during rush hour on the 400 series highways and manage your stick. So I'd rather hang on to my steering wheel than have to stop and go traffic with a.
I think the image is, or at least the understanding is, if you drive a standard truck, it's like a more kind of manly thing.
Yeah.
That's what the image is. It's like a power thing, I believe.
Yeah. Well, and that then again that's old school, because when we were watching those Smokey and the Bandit movies way back in the day, yeah, there were no automatic trucks back then, and they were manly movies about manly men, where the hero was portrayed in this image. That, I bet you if they remade those movies today, they'd all be done in automatic trucks.
Terry, I want to thank you so much for being here. This is such a great conversation. We did learn a lot. This is a very different perspective of you being on the warehousing side of the industry and then now driving a truck. And it's just awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was a good experience, and I hope we get good word out there to the general public. Like I said, that we're stewards of the road. Let's manage the road. Let's keep those four-wheelers safe, and just generally be good to each other.
Perfect. Thank you so much for watching the show. Please subscribe to our channel if you like our show, and we'll see you guys next Sunday. If you are one of those truck drivers who is willing to say what they feel and see on the road or anywhere in the trade, please do contact us at info@thetruckstopshow.ca. Write us your phone number and we'll get in touch and bring you on the show.